Look, I'm not pissed to the point where I'm annoyed and I'm going to call people out their names, or especially people that I love, like the person I'm about to talk about in a few minutes. She struggled with physical defense she's faced at the professional level and voiced frustration with the league's officiating, recently telling reporters, quote, "I feel like I'm getting hammered and everybody is physical with me, and opponents get away with things that other people don't get away with." That's what Caitlin Clark said. It was a cheap shot. It was not a basketball play. She should have been ejected, number one. Number two, there should have been a fine that was incurred thereafter. Number three, not to say that there won't be or hasn't been at this moment in time, I don't know of one. I know the team was fined for media availability purposes because people weren't available to talk.
Did you see what happened to Caitlin Clark during her last match? Dijonai Carrington hit her in the eye and caused a terrible black eye.
She caught that fingertip in the eye or right around it from Carrington.
This terrible incident that occurred in Caitlin's first playoff has the entire WNBA screaming for justice against Dijonai Carrington.
Michael Jordan of the WNBA was assaulted, has a black eye during the second half of the game because Dijonai Carrington stabbed her with her fingernails in the eye.
Many analysts have suggested that this horrifying incident might just break the WNBA for real now.
She's going to face a level of racism from black players. She's going to walk into an extremely hostile environment. And she's going to face a level of hostility from lesbian players because she's not on team LGBTQ. She's a Catholic. She's got some boyfriend.
And to make matters worse, she finished the game with a black eye after she was poked by Dijonai Carrington, who tried to block her shot.
Let's break it down and first see what really happened. So, during her debut playoff match against the Connecticut Sun, Caitlin Clark was terribly poked in the eye by Dijonai Carrington during the first quarter of the game.
She's white, and she's the golden girl that's considered the marketing savior for the sport.
Now you might say, this is just a regular foul. No big deal, right? Well, let's take a look again from another angle and see what's going on. We can clearly see what's going on here. This camera angle shows this foul that was committed here is not an innocent mistake from Carrington.
Caitlin Clark's trying to pass the ball in the first 2 minutes of the game, and this woman swats at the basketball and somehow decides to turn her hand down and her fingernails and jab them right into the eye of Caitlin Clark.
I mean, look at that, those fingernails going towards Caitlin's face.
In no way does somebody's arm go from this situation into someone's eye. Like, that does not happen. Like, look, that is very, very unlikely to be.
This is a serious issue. Could it be that Carrington really wanted to blacken Caitlin's eye?
The hot topic going on right now. Caitlin Clark says she got cheap shot. I mean, throughout the season, she's been getting beat up. Hard screens, elbows, knocked down. It is what it is. She's not the first. She won't be the last. My issue and my question is, where the f are her teammates at? Where y'all at? Where the rest of the Indiana Fever at? I've seen a couple girls smirk when she's got knocked down, half-assed to pick her up. Like, y'all supposed to protect the asset, protect the star. And all this is the team. She's the star. You always protect your star. I was someone who protected the stars. Cole, CP, Blake, list goes on. It's going to be a problem because you guys are supposed to be a family.
And the problem doesn't stop here. The fact that this foul wasn't even called out by the match referees is just insane.
No foul call. No refs stopping the game to go, is this a flagrant? None of that. Just everybody moved on.
I mean, can you believe it? A star player like Caitlin was targeted by her opponents to stop her from qualifying, and they did not have the guts to play it fair. They had to resort to playing dirty just to get back at a rookie who was playing her debut playoff match. This isn't just about Dijonai Carrington and Caitlin Clark anymore. This incident is raising much bigger questions now. Like, why did the WNBA refs not call for a foul and other concerns for player safety?
Your star, your meal ticket, the reason why you have relevancy, just got stabbed and assaulted and nothing.
But why did Dijonai Carrington commit a horrible foul like that? Is she motivated by pure competitive spirit, or is it pure hate? Well, looking at her history, it sure looks like she was motivated by other no-so-good reasons.
Dijonai has a history with Caitlin Clark, like many of these girls in the WNBA, but she's at the top of the list along with Kennedy Carter in Chicago, and Angel Reese.
She has also been found calling Caitlin Clark's fans as nastiest in the league before the playoffs game. When asked about the tweet, she didn't bother to explain what she meant.
And a few weeks ago, you tweeted that the Indiana Fever have the nastiest fans in the league. Do you have any message for them going into this series?
No. Not only that, her antics against Caitlin were negative from the very start. It was almost like she wanted to get back at this player who could potentially sabotage the game. Before Caitlin could do such a thing, however, Carrington decided to sabotage Caitlin instead. I mean, just look at her mocking Caitlin in a game.
I feel like I'm losing my mind.
It is clear that Carrington wanted to foul her opponent in the game, and unfortunately for Clark, Carrington got off without a single foul or formal warning from the officials.
Dijonai is one of these people that has a real problem with Caitlin Clark.
This unfortunate incident also rattled Clark's performance. Speaking to the officials after the post-match conference, she explained what happened during the game.
It got me pretty good in the eye. I don't think it affected me. Honestly, I felt like I got good shots. They just didn't go down, and obviously a tough time for that to happen. Like, I got some really good looks. I felt I had three pretty wide open threes in the first half that like you usually make, so that's tough, but I felt like I battled and tried my best.
By her admission, she felt that her performance in the game had not done justice to the form she had been playing in so far. Her entire game plan got hit by the foul, and she wasn't able to play her regular game. From super precise passes, the Steph Curry-like throws, and her awesome dribbling, everything we are supposed to see in a Caitlin Clark got sabotaged by a petty foul committed by Carrington.
It didn't bother me. Obviously, it didn't feel too good when it happened, but it is what it is.
Even then, she refused to put the entire blame for the relatively poor performance on her attacker. Instead of complaining, she took a short moment on the bench and pushed through the pain by giving 8 assists for her team. I mean, this really shows you how professionally Caitlin Clark plays for her team. She does not want to compromise her self-worth with arguments and excuses. She wants to perfect her own game instead of blaming it on others.
Caitlin Clark is not a punk, but she's also smart enough to know fighting some angry black lesbians, not her job, and it would lead to a collapse of the league.
Also, why do these WNBA players have such long fingernails?
These nails, I've seen worse nails than this in the WNBA. Like, this is a safety hazard. Like, having nails that long, and they're longer than this now. But like, nails like that are a safety hazard to players.
I don't really understand the point of having these big nails at all. I mean, look at these fingernails. Do these look like professional players? I mean, these players are trying to look more like rappers and pop artists than actual basketball players at this point.
Women with these long fake fingernails that stabbed her in the eye. Do you think that had any impact on the game?
After Clark got hit by the opponent, her coach Christy Sides was stuck in the middle of a nightmare situation. Her long and hard preparation for the playoffs went down the drain, and she needed to come up with a plan to save the game.
Inexcusable, and Dijonai Carrington needs to be suspended for Game 2.
Now keep in mind that Indiana Fever has not been able to qualify for playoffs for more than 8 years. You can imagine the pressure Clark and her team must be feeling when their best sharpshooter got one of her eyes poked out.
Got pretty animated and got a technical foul early in the game, and Caitlin mentioned in her first answer about the refs, so is that something you could talk about?
But things took quite an unexpected turn when Coach Christie did not call out the foul committed by Carrington during the game.
At the end of the day, like it's not about the officiating tonight, for sure. I mean, we've got to be better defensively.
Can you believe this? Instead of admitting that Dijonai Carrington's foul was out of line, she starts pointing fingers at her own team's performance. It's pretty obvious that Clark's game started slipping right after that foul. The team was doing great until everything went sideways with that.
Christy Sides seems to refuse to call out the referees. Now that everybody has seen one of the alternate slow motion footages of Dijonai Carrington trying to poke out, like literally AEW, WWE poke out Caitlin Clark's eyeball during that game yesterday, and the ref's not saying a damn thing about it.
And honestly, any coach who's serious about fairness would be calling out the refs for not making it a flagrant foul. It's a bit frustrating.
Some not getting some calls down low that she probably should have. But at the end of the day, It's not about the officiating tonight, for sure. I mean, we.
That's her face. That's the part I wanted you to hear. She said it's not about the officiating. And Caitlin clearly is not thrilled with that. That she cut the side eyes right there.
Especially when Caitlin Clark is clearly the star player. You'd think she'd get more protection out there.
You've got a lot of people that are calling out Christy Sides today going, why will you not speak about this kind of stuff?
And seriously, where's WNBA Commissioner Catherine Engelbert in all of this? Why hasn't she stepped up to clear the air on this mess? Fans and players are totally fed up with refs turning a blind eye to blatant fouls like this. It's not the first time people have spoken out either. There's been a lot of chatter about the constant inaction.
I don't want to see a bunch of tatted up, angry lesbians do rollerblade on a basketball court. I don't want to see it.
Fans are losing it, and you can't really blame them. How long are we supposed to watch these unfair calls get swept under the rug?
People are pissed. They've had enough, and they're like, really? What? I mean, your referees can't even call that a foul, much less take further steps.
I mean, come on! At least take some action against the terrible foul that Dijonai Carrington has committed. As I showed you, she does not seem to be bothered one bit by the foul. This is the least WNBA officials could do from a neutral standpoint, if they want to save WNBA from falling apart.
Carrington should be suspended. It's criminal that there was no flagrant call here. She should be given a flagrant 2 today, and it should be announced she'll be suspended for game 2.
And honestly, this isn't the first time Caitlin Clark has been targeted on the court. She's had her fair share of run-ins.
Some of the players, you want to use the word jealousy, fine. You want to use the word envy, fine. You want to use the word resentment. We want to play with words. That's cool. It's something. And I think that some of the ladies, not all, but some of the ladies in the WNBA are missing the point. And the point is, this girl right here is a box office attraction. And because of her box office attraction, it's generating more eyeballs to the WNBA product, therefore more revenue for the WNBA product. Don't you think y'all are going to benefit from that too?
On July 1st, when the Indiana Fever went up against the Chicago Sky, Clark was shoved to the ground by yet another Chicago Sky player. With just 15 seconds left in the third quarter, Sky guard Kennedy Carter, who by the way has a bit of a reputation for aggressive actions and poor conduct, collided with Caitlin Clark. And let's just say, it wasn't pretty. Carter shouted something at Clark, and the next thing you know, Clark's on the floor.
Kennedy Carter pushed her in the back like that. It was a cheap shot. It was not a basketball play. She should have been ejected, number one. Number two, there should have been a fine that was incurred thereafter.
This wasn't just competition. This was straight up aggression, plain and simple. And yet, the refs had the nerve to downplay it as a non-flagrant foul, calling it just an away from the ball incident. Like, are you kidding me? How does that even make sense? It's almost as if they're trying to brush it off, like it's no big deal. What do you even say to that?
We saw the play in the third quarter where Carter kind of decked you. How do you respond to that and stay within yourself?
I feel like I'm just at the point where you accept it and don't retaliate. Like, you know, just let them hit you, be what it is. Don't let it get inside your head and know it's coming. I think at this point, like, I know I'm going to take a couple hard shots a game. It is what it is, I guess. I don't know.
Caitlin is clearly frustrated with this, and it just doesn't end here. In another game against the Chicago Sky, Angel Reese smacked Caitlin Clark on the head.
Foul, I believe, to Angel Reese. Yep, across the head, and they will go to the monitor to review.
And it was not a mistake. Angel deliberately did that. It seems like this certain group of players have a personal agenda against Caitlin Clark.
Dijonai has a history with Caitlin Clark. Like, many of these girls in the WNBA, along with Kennedy Carter in Chicago and Angel Reese. Those three.
Charles Barkley, the legendary NBA player and now an analyst, called this pettiness of WNBA ladies a long ago.
You women out there, y'all petty, man. Hey, LeBron, you're 100% right on these girls hating on Caitlin Clark. Y'all petty, girls. I expect men to be petty because we're the most insecure group in the world.
Oh, you are.
Y'all should be thanking that girl for getting y'all ass private charters, all the money and visibility she bring into the WNBA. Don't be petty like dudes. Listen, what she's accomplished, give her flowers. Stop being petty, all you women out there. She got y'all charters. She bringing all y'all this money to the table, but y'all being petty like dudes. LeBron, you are 100% right. Y'all girls, stop being petty. Caitlin Clark, thank you for bringing all that money and shine to the WNBA.
And honestly, he couldn't have been more spot on. This latest drama is just proving him right all over again. It's like he saw it coming before anyone else did.
These ladies, and I'm a WNBA fan, they cannot have this Caitlin Clark thing up any worse if they tried.
Charles didn't drop any names directly, but it's pretty obvious who he's talking about. It's all those players who've been gunning for Caitlin Clark on the court, and Dijonai Carrington is now seen as the leader of Clark haters.
If you got a bunch of dudes in a room and says, let's f up the WNBA, we couldn't have came up a master plan what these women have done.
Charles even gave Caitlin major props for the way she's handled all the hate and bullying thrown her way. Despite all the drama, Caitlin's kept it classy.
The stuff toward her is petty and jealous. And the thing I love about her, she never says a word.
She hasn't said a single bad word against her haters. It's like she's on a whole different level, staying calm and composed while everyone else is busy stirring the pot.
Yeah, obviously got me pretty good in the eye. I don't think it affected me. Honestly, I felt like I got good shots. They just didn't go down, and obviously a tough time for that to happen. Like I got some really good looks. I felt I had three pretty wide open threes in the first half that like you usually make. So that's tough, but I felt like I battled and tried my best. Took care of the ball better than I usually do, which is a positive. Yeah, overall, like it didn't bother me. Obviously, it didn't feel too good when it happened, but